So Heavy Hitters, the much anticipated upcoming set of Flesh and Blood, is about to take the world by storm this week in New Zealand. So as you're watching streams, getting excited, and calculating how many pennies you need to get your cardboard crack, how much do we need to get what we want? A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hello there, my Flesh and Blood folks, and welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast, and thanks for checking in today for our kind of set tradition. This has definitely become a tradition. Before each set, we kind of look at the set distribution, where all of the various things fall, and what reasonably we might need to buy or pre-order or crack or rip or whatever term the kids are using these days. But how much, how frequent stuff is going to be, how rare is going to be, and how that translates to what do we really need to buy in order to get what we need. Now, the constant disclaimer of this type of stuff is, buying singles is absolutely 100% always the more economical choice to targeted get what you want. That said, this set is going to have, I think, some pretty big draws. The fact that this set is coming with the Marvel heroes, we don't know what all of the other Marvels are going to be, but these things look pretty hot consistently, right? I think they're going to be double-sided. Others have implied they might not be. Either way, and it does make sense if they actually wouldn't be if they had the real thing on the other side. So we'll see when people crack them. But I think these things are going to be in very high demand, which should, if you want them, means, you're going to have to pay for them. If you're not interested in them, if other people are opening a lot of them, it should actually help the rest of the set, right? At least in theory. So that's very exciting. All right, so let's go ahead and head over to the relevant portion of the sell sheet, the product sheet, whatever that they released to the retailers. I like to call it the sell sheet. It's what I always learned. So product configuration, 255 cards in a set. That's pretty big. There's 16 per pack, 24, right, 4 cards per case, right? That's all standard stuff. 255s on the higher side. But I have a couple things pointed out here on set composition. So there's one Fabled. There are only 5 legendaries in the set. That's very low compared to what we've seen in some other sets. There's also only 40 Majestics in the set, which is very low compared to what we've seen. 67 rares, 128 commons, and then 15 tokens, 10 marbles. Okay, and if you do the math on if they're double-sided, you'd see 6. So I'm thinking they probably will be, because if they're not, you double them, carry the 12, and it's a 12, right? That's sarcasm on carrying the 12. You don't carry a 12. All right, but that's why I think they're gonna be double-sided personally, and then there'll be a couple others, but we'll see, right? Maybe they're not doing Rhinar because he's already been done, and then it's just 2 times 5. So that could track too, all right, in terms of the marbles. All right, but we will see. All right, now I want to so first off, I have some arrows on this because they have a single asterisk on 67 star and 15 star tokens, but I don't see on the sell sheet where the single asterisk is. Maybe I'm just missing it. So if you know where it is, if you could let me know below what that single asterisk means. But we do, of course, have the disclaimer of no specific card, rarity, or type, blah, blah, blah is guaranteed, right? In case some distribution goes off, you can't say, oh, you owe me a pack, right? So that's pretty standard stuff. Right now, I do want to put into context, I've seen some discussion out there about this set being very large, which is not wrong in terms of the 255, but I've also seen some comments in terms of differences in not distribution, but breakdown. And I wanted to put up the last, 6 sets, okay? Which is relevant since Fab 2.0, right? So number 7, Dynasty, you see it only had 27 Majestics. Now that's extremely low by today's standards when we really think about it, right? 27 Majestics, but then you move to Dynasty. Now, do you remember Dynasty was one of the not OG, but it was the old style expansion set, so 51 Majestics there. We then moved to Outsiders, so only had 31 Majestics. Then we moved to Dusk Till Dawn, which was 236 card set and 56 Majestics. We then moved to EVO, who had 46 Majestics. And then we moved to Heavy Hitters, who had 40 Majestics, right? So just putting this into perspective, it is even if you take out these subsets, right, of Dynasty and Dusk Till Dawn, which are very high, if you look at this in terms of Evo, Heavy Hitters actually has less Majestics. Now, it does have more than Dynasty. It does have more than Outsiders. But it's more on par. If you compare it again to Evo, it's more on par with what we've seen before than it is necessarily with kind of what we got used to on the last one, right? So that's very important to put in perspective in terms of kind of the chases and what you need to get. Right, so what I have up now are, the very traditional table. I'm not going to change the fonts and stuff. I've got a system that works, right? So this is the table with the numbers. Now, there's one change that I've made since. So I made a change in Evo to track the expansion slot, and I've now taken that away. And the reason is because I believe we have learnings from the expansion slot that even though you get less expansion slots per box, per case, whatever, than you do normal IMs, because there are less of them, right? Less IMs and legendaries in the expansion slot, they end up mathing out roughly to be the same frequency as the normal set IMs and Ls, right? I believe that to be the case. I think the math backs that up. So therefore, I feel that you can, from looking at a box case standpoint, remove that line. Okay, that's the logic I've taken here. I'm welcome to feedback if you don't agree with that. But what I've tried to do is basically say, look, you're going to get, 1 and change expansion slots per box. And then remember, I don't look at foiling in this because you can't count on the foiling. Again, generally you see 1 foilment M per box in general, but you can't count on it. So what I'm trying to do here is roughly low ball anticipate what you would need to get, or what at least the frequencies would be. I'm not saying go buy 17 boxes, not what I'm saying. But what would you need to get your playset? Okay, so commoners, there's 264 commons per box. There's 128 in the set, so you would need to buy roughly 2 boxes to full playset. If I sound like a broken record, that's because that's very, very, very consistent to every set we've seen, right, for the commons. And that's generally where I land. I think that, if you target kind of making sure you have your commons and your rares, that you're generally in a good space. Now, unfortunately, in this set, assuming that we don't have one of rares, right, like shields and weapons and stuff like that, which it's basically been implied we're going to have, but assuming we don't, again, this is worst case scenario, we actually math out to 5 boxes is what you would need to get a full mathematical play set of rares, which is a little bit of a bummer if it's all 3 ofs. And that's why I kind of don't think it is, because very historically it's been, if you buy a case, you don't necessarily get your play set of commons and rares, but you're damn close. And you'd have extras of something that you can swap for something else, right? So again, that's why my recommendation on stuff like this is always, start with a case, okay? Fill out your commons and rares, and then go snipe or trade for the Majestics or whatever, right? Because again, you take that step up to the Majestics, you can see here with 7, maybe 8, right? If you want to count your foil, which I think is reasonable. Again, it's not guaranteed. So you're going to have to get roughly, and again, is that foil going to, you know how it's going to work. You're going to open the foil and you're going to open 2 of that Majestic in your case, right? It's just the way it works because that's life, right? But and again, it maths out here, again, assuming that they're all 3 ofs, which I can promise you there's going to be some 1 of Majestic. So it'll drop it a little bit for you, but then again, we're assuming perfect distribution. So that probably comes out in the wash. You're looking at least 17 boxes to a full play set. And again, that's assuming you get exactly everything, which isn't going to happen, right? So, the math there is very clear that at about a case, you get a full case set of rares and commons. Again, broken record. Once you go beyond that, you're really crap shooting and trying to just get wins, right? And then again, unless you're the person who's opening like 50 cases, I think probably 1 case is the right way to target. Get some trade stock, maybe you get a win, and go from there. Legendaries with, we'll see if that's true with 5 of them, because we've in some of the past sets we've seen more than that. But you roughly get with the between rainbow foil. So in this case, I'm not ignoring foiling, obviously, because you don't have an option, right? But in this case, I'm assuming it's roughly 1.5 per case by the time you consider the different slots and all that. You get roughly 1.5 per case. You would need 13.5 boxes to a playset, assuming that everything goes your way and assuming you get no duplicates, which again is probably not going to happen. Okay, so don't chase. The moral of the story here, right? Don't chase your Majestics and your Legendaries. Okay, that said, I think this set's probably a good one. I think this set's a good one to buy some sealed product of, right? You need to decide what's right for you. Don't be a dum-dum and spend more than you can, right? That's not what I'm saying. But I think this is a decent one to open product of because it just seems to me that this one's going to come out swinging. But as I mentioned, I definitely have bias on, as I mentioned before, I definitely have bias on this set. I'm very excited about this set personally. So we'll see how that goes. But either way, those are the numbers. And again, I want to encourage you, right? Don't chase everything, right? Make sure, if you want something, it's always more economical to buy. If you want a specific targeted thing, it's always better to go buy singles. But if you're looking to kind of round out a large portion of the set because you're very into the set, start with a case and then go from there, right? That's what the numbers are telling me. I honestly think that, we'll see what the EV and where that all lands. That's really not my realm. I honestly think you could probably do more. I think this one, you probably wouldn't be sad if you bought more than that because at some point you're going to start getting the Marvels and I think they're going to be very high demand. But that's assuming from a monetary standpoint that you sell the Marvels and you don't just want them because they'll eventually go down, right? So now you're just playing the market at that point and that's not what we do on this channel. So that said, I think you could buy more and not be sad, but you'd probably have to give away cards that you'd be sad about giving away. So at some point you have to figure out where that break point is for you. So anyway, those are the numbers, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'm very excited to see you all. By the time you're watching this, I'm definitely in New Zealand. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all on stream here in probably 24, 36, 48 hours, however the math works with wherever I'm at and what time zone. But either way, thanks folks for tuning in. Enjoy this week. It's going to be an awesome week for heavy hitters and Flesh and Blood. And go Commando.